Alrighty, we're going to go with this. So we're going to talk about planks. There's a lot of different planks. There's a lot of different ways to think about planks. Really what we're looking for is Tadasana Spine. So wherever you are, let's say you're standing in Tadasana and you have your Tadasana Spine, right? You're not here, right? You have nice, you're drawn up through the crown of the head, so you're not over here, okay? You want to find your Tadasana Spine. Your plank is your Tadasana Spine, but down here. So essentially, all we're adding is this or this. We might be adding this, right? Might be adding this. The block in this particular case is nice because without the block, see this hip deflection? It's not Tadasana Spine. My back foot over here, let's come over this way. My back foot is flat on the floor, it's not up. It's flat on the floor. Tadasana Spine is here, okay? So, I'm going to show you the variation that we're doing, but the point of plank is to come into a Tadasana Spine. The elements of the arms, when we start coming into plank, and if it's too much for us, we start doing this. Because a wider base is more stable, and the mind wants stability. Stability in the body protects the brain. So, how can you find out if you're doing that? Blocks, 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 blocks. So in this case, we're going to use two blocks. One of them is set up, what you can see here. One of them is set up for the hands, and the other one is going to be set up for the arms. Essentially, this, but on the ground. Okay? What we want to do is we want to be able to squeeze the block that's between the elbows. So when we come into our, let's say I'm on my knees, I'm going to dial in that Tadasana Spine, and I've still got the block between the arms. If I come up, I still want to be able to squeeze the block between the arms. Okay? If you find that it's very, very difficult to do that, then you're going to be taking more planks from the knees until you build the mobility to take the plank from wherever you want. Okay. Dolphin. Dolphin is really good. It works the entire upper shoulders, part of the latissimus and trapezius. And dolphin is a modification of downward dog. So if I've got my Tadasana Spine here, I've also got my Tadasana Spine here. Okay. That's it. It's that simple. We don't have to walk in a whole bunch. We could, but we don't have to. What does all of this mean? Before you do any flows that are plank-centric this month, I would say, watch this video, try out some plank variations, okay? Try coming into tabletop, have your block handy, align your hands to your block, lower down, extend the legs so that you have a straight line as well, not really, it's not a completely straight line, but you're loading the back a little bit differently here. If you want to come up on the toes, that's fine. Hips can be a little higher. Hips can be as high as the shoulders. Okay, you don't want them higher. And see how that feels. If you feel like you're going to fall over, if it feels very, very difficult, then maybe sticking to the knees at first, and toes curled under or long, it doesn't matter. Maybe staying here is going to be more beneficial. And you can also come from here and try to do some raised lowers. Now what we don't want to do here is we don't want to come out and then come out. Okay? What we're doing is we're trying to stay as level as we can and come up. And as level as we can and come down. And this is one way to test your shoulders and the serratus anterior and some other muscles back there to see how these feel for you. Okay? Same thing as with dolphin. Right, we come into our downward dog and we lower. That's it. Maybe you raise. Maybe you lower one at a time. Try them. See how they feel for you and make some decisions. And be honest. Right? This practice is for you. And it can be easy to say, it can be easy to get caught up in this idea that you want to do it the harder way. But remember, there's a lot of gains to be made when it doesn't hurt. And doing it to your capacity is not the same as overdoing it. Sometimes we think the harder way is you're really pushing yourself, and really what you're doing is you're exceeding your ability to do it. Side planks. When we come into our supported side plank, that right leg comes out, toes stay under, right? So your foot is still flexed. You don't go long. Right hand stays right in line with that knee. That's going to help us stack the hips. That left leg needs to come back all the way so the heel or the instep is in line with the knee of the right leg. And we stack the hips. Now again, I'm going to go to a block because I like my spine alignment here. And I like to rotate the arm this way because it feels good in my thoracic spine. And we hold this side plank and breathe right here. I'm glancing down a little bit. And as I'm sitting here, I want to try to relax what I can. Left foot is flat on the floor. Now, if we want to lift anything up, we can come down here. Still looking for a nice line for the spine. Okay, we don't want to curve the spine, and we don't want to roll the hips. Okay, so the hips are stacked. What does this mean for hips? You might, before you start a workshop, you might want to do your supine half pigeon for about 6 breaths. Bound angle forward fold a couple of times. You might even want to do a sun A. We want to get the hips nice and active. Right? When we say warmed up, what we mean is the brain is definitely communicating well with the hips. The body is putting emphasis for support systems, for the circulation, for all the stuff in the blood and the joints and everything, right? That's what warming something up means. It's really you're getting your brain to focus on that point. So you might be lifting that up, and that can be really energetic here, and it can be really energetic here in different ways. So pay attention to how that feels for you. Pay attention to how it feels when we're in the opposite position, because this leg is now lifted and this one is supporting, and the angles in the hips are different, and they're also different this way. Pay attention to those. Our supported side planks can do a lot to strengthen our hips without putting the hips under a lot of undue stress. Notice I have not talked about engaging our core at all. Planks, by their very nature, make the core work on its own the whole time. The brain can handle that. We don't need to worry about it. And when we do worry about it, we usually put a little bit too much on it. We've also got reverse plank. So if we're here, okay, Feet are flat on the floor. Knees are bent. We lower down to the elbows. Then we extend to the legs. And we can come up. Reverse low plank. If we come up to the hands, we can come up with our legs extended. That's reverse high plank. We can also come up from here. This is a great drawing motion. Again, hips. We're really pushing through the hips here. I'm not engaging my core. I'm drawing with my hips upward. Extended side plank. So extended side plank is interesting. We're pulling that way with the hips. We can stack the feet, or the feet can be in front and behind one another. I like to stack. This one is not a progression of this one. They work different things. If we look at supported side plank as merely a stepping stone to get to extended side plank, then we're missing the benefits that reside solely in supported side plank. What are those benefits? This guy right here. Look at the angle, even with a block. Look at the angle to my hip versus this angle to my hip. It's completely different. It works a completely different structure within the hip. So you have dolphin, high plank, low plank with elbows, low plank reverse, high plank reverse, extended side plank, supported side plank with block, supported side plank without block. There's a lot of planks, a lot of variations. We even talk about high plank. All right, high plank is our Tadasana spine, but with our arms forward. That's it. Weight is in the heels. We don't want to be up here, we want to be down here. And when we lower with the elbows in tight. So, the serratus anterior is a muscle that is shaped like it's serrated, and it wraps into the rib cage. One moment. The serratus anterior is underneath the scapula, and it goes across these ribs in the back and up inside the ribs over here. And it's, I'm pretty sure, I just got it confused with another muscle. So it has fingertips that go up inside the ribs on the front, and it's responsible for pulling and pushing. Right? It's a well-used muscle. The scapula. So we use it a lot. It's called a boxer's muscle because you use it all the time in boxing, okay? And it can become underused depending on our lifestyles, and it can become overworked depending on our lifestyles. It is where most of my back injuries reside. Something on that later, maybe someday. If you feel discomfort and it feels like it's really deep in your back, then change your plank practice to something that does not cause that. Okay? Or eliminate it entirely. Choose a different month. It can be difficult to get rid of, that kind of pain. If you feel that you want to strengthen that muscle, if you feel like your high to low plank isn't very good, if you're shaky, if you feel like you're all discombobulated and you want to strengthen that high to low plank, you can do it by you can do it by practicing this movement without weight. You can also practice this movement without weight. You can also practice this movement. You can come right across the body. You can do that both sides. There's a number of ways. So those are all excellent ways to practice moving that serratus anterior without putting any weight on it and without potentially aggravating it. Planks. What else about planks? I think that covers it. This is a long workshop because we covered a lot of planks. Are we going to have every single plank that I just showed you in the yoga flow? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. That's it. That's what we got for this month's workshop. Enjoy it and see you on the mat. Yeah, that's it. That's what we got. I'm signing off. All right. Namaste.